up, all you sister motherfuckers, daddy fuckers, sister and brother fuckers? This is Disco Demonic Hydrophonic, and today I'm talking about La Santísima Muerte, which is weird because I haven't really talked about her a lot. I've mentioned her here and there, and so there's a lot of stuff. This is probably going to be a long video. So first I'm going to start out with how Mictlantecuhtli kind of got started. There's a lot of stuff talking about how she got started, so I'm sure there's going to be other people that say that I'm wrong. Some that will agree with me. Whatever. Here we go. So this is what I have gleaned from what I have read and what she has told me. Santa Muerte is an aspect of Mictlantecuhtli. Mictlantecuhtli is an Aztec goddess of death. She's married to somebody, I don't remember. There's a god and goddess of death. I don't remember the name of the male aspect. However, Mictlantecuhtli is the female aspect. Later became Santa Muerte. Now, when I first learned how to channel, I had a kind of a peppered, I don't want to say that in a negative way, but like my history with Santa Muerte wasn't always, I didn't always have great results with Santa Muerte. I was first introduced to her when I was in TDC in prison, and there was a cartel member there who started teaching me how to work with Santa Muerte, and the way he explained to me was that you make a request, you say it 3 times, you say the prayer 3 times, like whatever it is, and then you, is that what it is? And then you give the offering, and then you ask for what you want, and then whatever you get, like you make a deal with her, kind of a thing. So it's like you request it 3 times, say the prayer 3 times, whatever the prayer is, and then you tell her what you're going to do for whatever it is you're going to get from her, right? And you have to follow through with whatever it is you ask her. So, because a lot of people don't like to follow through with what they're going to do, Santa Muerte ends up getting a bad rap because if you do not follow through with what you promise to give her in return for what it is she gives you, bad things can happen. Like, and your definition of bad can be different from mine. So, like, you know, maybe like if you ask for a girlfriend and then you get the girlfriend and then blah, 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 and then you never follow through with what you said, you told something about what was going to happen, something shitty could happen. Either y'all break up, or, you know, that could be detriment, that could be hit people differently, or she dies in a car accident. You know, I'm like, it could be fucking anything. And so, if you promise her something, just fucking do it, you know, basically. So, I was having problems working with Santa Muerte because when I first started working with her, I tried the traditional way, which never really worked out for me. So that's why I say there's ways to do it and then ways that I do it. As my practice progressed, like I didn't work with her for a long time, and then I was really drawn to her for a while. So I started working with her, and then I started getting really good results, and like especially in my magical practice, like as far as my ascension was going. Like she just like gave me an astral temple, which was really beautiful, and that was fucking awesome. So I was like, really devoting a lot of time. I actually wrote a prayer in Nahuatl, which Nahuatl is an Aztec language. There's many different dialects, so pronunciation can be different depending upon region and all kinds of stuff. So I actually learned one kind of Nahuatl, and I pronounced things according to my research and pronunciation. So I would say this prayer to her every morning, thanking her for like, and I would pray to her every morning. And I had like music that I had come across that she had led me to. Nothing that was actually Aztec, like, but it had like that old Indian kind of, Indian as far as Indios from like, in South America, right? So, I guess I'm not going to go into the history of that, but they're called Indios. So they're Indians from like South America. They're not from India. And so, like stuff like that, just different kinds of music that they had that was really cool, but they didn't speak Nahuatl. So, anyways, and I would play that during ritual. I got copal. Copal is an incense that a lot of people use for Santa Muerte. I use copal for Santa Muerte, like where when I'm working with Santa Muerte as like offerings to give to her. Um, and I'm gonna show my altar here in a second and just explain everything about this. So this is gonna take a while. This is gonna be a long ass video. Um, and then so basically from that, whenever I learned to channel, she came to me and told me, like, so I would get mixed results with that. So when I learned how to channel, she came and told me actually why I was having mixed results. So what she told me was, if you're going to work with Santa Muerte, you can have an understanding that Santa Muerte is an aspect of Mitikatsikwe. However, don't pray to both of them as in like in the same like kind of as work with them as like one entity, right? They are different to a certain degree. Like there are aspects but different, right? So if you're going to work with Mitikatsikwe, work with Mitikatsikwe. If you're going to work with Santa Muerte, work with Santa Muerte. And you can reference, but just, there's intricacies there. I would just say you could figure that out when working with her, like on your own. But I would say just if you don't have the channeling abilities or anything like that, or like a way to communicate with her yet, just call her Santa Muerte. Understanding that she's an aspect of Mitikatsikwe, but call her Santa Muerte. You know what I'm saying? So like I am an American. I may have aspects that are Latin based, which I'm very connected to, but I'm still an American, kind of. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's not a good example, but hopefully that'll help kind of clear some things up. So my old me is not the me that I am now, basically, is what she was telling me. And so, yeah, when I learned how to channel, I had two, Santa Muerte and Lucifer came to me and congratulated me on my ascension, because I had just learned how to channel. So that was a really cool experience. And after that, my work with her changed. So I started working with her directly as Santa Muerte, applying things that I had learned over the years, and continuing with that, and then moving forward. As far as that goes, like it can be difficult finding a teacher, somebody who's going to teach you how to work with Santa Muerte in a traditional sense. They are very closed-mouthed. They don't share information with a lot of people, which, I mean, I'm not going to down them for that. However, I completely disagree with that standpoint. I think information should be open, and Santa Muerte has come to me, and she has given me the okay to actually make this video and share with her, because, like, I think a lot of people feel that you have to be Hispanic or Latin or have some sort of background. You do not. As far as pronunciations go, you don't have to pronounce anything correctly when working with the divine. They know what you mean, and actually they communicate through emotion better or more than words. So if I say Santa Muerte and you say Santa Muerte, that's totally cool. It's not like she's going to be like, oh, well, she doesn't say it right. Santa Muerte doesn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? As long as you come out with her with an open heart and give her the offerings with an open heart and, like, all that kind of stuff, when you're working with any entity, you're going to get good results, and you're going to build a good relationship with Santa Muerte. All right? So just because you're white or Jewish or black or whatever, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. You can work with Santa Muerte. She's totally open to all that. And I'll explain all that kind of later. That should come into the explanation. So, whenever, how Santa Muerte kind of first came about. So, back in the day, there was, and this is kind of like a rough explanation. I'm sure there are other factors I'm not going to include. But back when the Spanish came into the Central and South Americas, the Americas, they brought Catholicism. The Aztecs had their own religion. So actually Santa Muerte was kind of came of this, because what happened was, it's similar to like in the martial arts, whenever the martial arts were in Brazil, the martial arts were outlawed in Brazil. Like, it was against the law to practice martial arts because they didn't want the people to rise up against them, right? So basically what the Brazilians had to do is to disguise martial arts in a dance. And the dance was called capoeira. So it became a Brazilian martial art. So now it's a martial art and it's a dance, but before it was hidden inside of a dance, right? So because they wanted to practice self-defense without being arrested for it, right? So it's kind of the same thing when it comes with religious stuff. So when sorry, Catholicism came to the Americas, and with the Aztecs, whenever like they were taking over everything, the Spaniards were. Basically, what happened was a lot of people tended to mix and or mask deities within the saints of the Catholic religion. So you have this with a few of them, and I won't go into all of them. I'll just give a couple of examples. Well, one really, uh, but this happened with a couple of them. I didn't want to do all the research, man. I'm sorry. Like I really just don't give a fuck. I'm just we're talking about Santa Muerte, but I kind of wanted to give some background. So, Virgen de Guadalupe was the Virgin Mary. She was attributed to Tonantzin. So Tonantzin is a an Aztec goddess, and she's like the Mother Earth goddess of the Aztec pantheon. So, that being said, as you can see, the same thing happened with Mictlantecuhtli. However, in Catholicism, there is no saint that I know of death, right? There may be some that like they're all like whitewashed kind of saints, like so basically, Santa Muerte was turned into the saint of death, right? So it is said that Catholicism does not recognize her as a saint, but I think that's kind of like surface. I know we understand that she is there, and I think that's the way. I believe that that's the way a lot of people were able to work with Santa Muerte still, because they just called her the Saint of Death, right? But I don't know for sure. I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what's going on. I didn't find any history on this. But basically, the hiding of the saints and the hiding of the gods within the saints is a real thing, and that's been happening in Catholicism for a long time, spanned over many other pagan religions that were taken over by Catholicism whenever they came. They could not stop the people from worshiping their gods, so they turned them into saints. They canonized them, basically, right? So I think that's right. I'm not Catholic, so I think canonizing is whenever you make something into a saint. Either way. All right, so traditionally, in the Mexican tradition, you have three aspects of Santa Muerte. You have the white and the colors, right? So the white, red, and black. Now, they pretty much encompass what you would think, in my opinion. So white would be something that you would use, kind of like relate to white, like removing of negative energy, prosperity, kind of like a cleansing, purification kind of a thing, removing obstacles. I'm reading off of a site. I will add the site in the description below. And that's what white, kind of like good luck, spiritual blessings, stuff like that, right? So guidance. And then you have the red, which is relating to love. Okay, love, passion, sexuality, I think fertility's in there or something. Anyways, so it's like passion and stuff like that. So red, anything you would associate with red. And then black represents anything you would kind of intrinsically relate to black nowadays. So I guess it wouldn't be intrinsic. But anyways, so yeah, you would have things like, here it says, okay, then never mind. So anything, it's protection, overall protection, remove blockages, blah, blah, blah. This says certain things. I'm not sure if I agree with everything on here, but it also talks about cursing and non-cursing. So I'm going to let you make your own decision about that, though. That's why I'm going to add that on the link below. I add the link on the description below. But so it's you would use the black for cursing and hexing. However, you don't want to just go around cursing haphazardly. And again, I'll explain that later on when I show my altar as far as how the Santa Muerte works with that. So yeah, that's. Let me see. So some of them colors came later when it comes to like the Afro-Cuban, the siete colores, the 7 colors of the. I don't know why I'm doing this. 7 colors of Santa Muerte, they came later, and they were later incorporated to Santa Muerte. Allowed them, she started working with the energies. So Santa Muerte is really good at working all kinds of energies. You can use, you can incorporate her and work with anything, in my experience, because of 2 factors. Because she is, she's already had so much experience working with so many different energies. She encompasses so many energies, and because she's a death energy, and death is something that happens to everyone and everything, right? So, green. I'm gonna give you an example. So green would normally, I think a lot of people in like traditional magic would say, green is a color that you would use for money, or riches or something like that. However, in the Afro-Cuban, or in this case, Santa Muerte, and I don't know anything about the Afro-Cuban Santeria and all that kind of shit. I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not going to say directly. But in Santa Muerte, a green Santa Muerte does not mean it's not the money Santa Muerte. Green is more for like justice, fairness, legal matters. She is said to be, the green Santa Muerte is said to be the saint of lawyers and stuff like that. I guess police officers. Though I don't think, did I read that somewhere? No, so it does have gambling, luck, and I don't think police officers. I think it's just like legal. It does say law enforcement here, which I'm kind of on the fence about that. But whatever, you can make your own decisions. And so from here, oh yeah, so I have a couple of things you can work with, as you can use when working with Santa Muerte. And here I have Agua de Florida, which is Florida water. It's a cologne. You can either put this on yourself before working with Santa Muerte, or you can take a bath and put this in the bath water before working with Santa Muerte. I'm at a point where I kind of leave this on the altar. I don't really use it that much. I used to use it a lot. The Florida water, I like this. It's a soft kind of smell. I like it. Then you have Siete Machos. Siete Machos is the same kind of thing. You can add it to the water, put it on yourself, or mix them both. However, Siete Machos is it's more of kind of like I think it kind of has an Old Spice kind of smell. And this stuff right here, like, will stay in your skin, though. That's the one thing I noticed about this shit. Like, once you put that on, it's like, if you wash your hands, that shit ain't coming out. Time is the only thing that will get rid of this fucking shit. So, use it at your discretion. But it is good to have when working with Santa Muerte. You're paying homage to her. These are things that people use when working with her. So I would say get some and leave them on your altar at the very least. Your Santa Muerte altar. I don't have these on my Santa Muerte altar. I have these, even though I just told you to do that, I have these on my main altar, which has, I have idols of Santa Muerte. And I kind of try to keep a sort of flow with that, so I won't go into all that. But now I'm going to show you my altar specifically made for Santa Muerte. Now, the voice may change here a little bit, I'm sorry. So this is my altar to Santa Muerte. This is where I sleep. My remote control, where I control the television. This is where I sleep, so I have her altar here next to me where I sleep. The reason I do this is a couple of reasons, because it's easier for me to access in the morning if I want to do some work, or before bed. I can just sit on my bed, which I'm doing now, and I can, like, do some trataka. I have the candle here. I can do a meditation, just kind of put that right there and do a meditation before bed, or when I wake up, or whenever, if I'm sitting here watching a movie and I get the feeling, I can do that. I can also the main reason I have her next to my bed is because, one, when I first made a altar to Santa Muerte, I made this altar specifically for her, was right over here underneath my Star of Owl goal, right there where this little box is. I put the altar there and I had it set up, and that is basically the east of my apartment room. So as you can see, the air symbol up there. So when I did that, she came to visit me that night in real life. I saw her standing, like, she was like almost, the altar was a part of her, and she was standing very tall. She was like up here, like her head was at the very top of the ceiling, and I didn't have all this stuff right here. I didn't have the sheets or anything like that, so you could see her, like, all the light from there's a little driveway light, not driveway, parking lot light that comes in, and so it was like she was all black, and it was like negative space, and it was like she was darker than anything. And when I first saw her, being as tall as she was, and I was laying down, it tripped me the fuck out. But when I realized that it was her,
I felt safety. I was like, okay, cool. She's watching over me. That's awesome. And I was able to go to sleep quite comfortably. And so from then on, I moved the altar over here, and now my main altar is like in the middle of the room, whatever. So, and so this is her altar now. So I'm gonna explain to you. So I live in Austin, Texas, and it's very easy to get these Santa Muerte candles. I've actually looked on like Amazon and stuff like that, and these candles are pretty expensive compared to how much we get them here. I think they're like, I don't remember how much they were on Amazon, but I remember thinking like, fuck that, I'm going to Fiesta. So here we have a few at Mercado. We have a few like Mexican style grocery stores. Fiesta is one of them. El Rancho, I already mentioned. El Mercado, we have carnicerias. Some of the carnicerias have them. Like, so they have candles to a bunch of saints, which incorporate Santa Muerte. So this is the, if you see, I have a white candle in front of the white Santa Muerte. But these here are like $1.40 for these candles, man. So if you have like a friend that lives in like the Texas area, probably even closer to Mexico, they're gonna be even cheaper. You could probably have them send you some candles, man, instead of paying like, I think they're like $8 or some shit on Amazon, or I don't know for sure. Don't quote me. Just, you can look that up yourself. But I remember it being pretty fucking expensive. So from here, I'm gonna tell you about what I have on the altar itself. First thing you're going to want to do, if you get a statue of Santa Muerte, the first thing you're going to do is get a glass of water and leave it in front of her so she can drink. The reason for that is because since she is the bone lady, she's always drying up. She doesn't have, like, I guess the skin to keep the moisture in, so she's always thirsty. So you have a glass of water there so she can always drink from. Now, what you also want to think about is that whenever you have, like, if you want to add Florida water, whatever, do not add that to the drinking water. Do not add blood to the drinking water. Just straight up water. I use the purest water. I use the same water that I drink. I have two purifiers. I have the one from my sink, and then the one that, like, the Brita pitcher. So I use both of those. So I use the same water that I drink. I don't just give her like the shittiest water, like pour it from the faucet. Like, to me, that's kind of disrespectful. But that's me. If you feel like that's okay, if you want to do that, that's okay with you. That's fine. However, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And so, yeah, you want to have that, and you don't have to have one for each statue. Just have at least a glass of water, and water is good to have on your altar. It represents, water, earth, fire, water, and what the fuck did I say? Air. So you're gonna have a representation of water there, and so that's one thing. That's the first thing you want to do. If you just got a statue with a glass of water, you're good. You don't need all this other stuff. So I have some things that are kind of personal to me here. So that right there, I found at a Goodwill. This 3-stage thing, which was very interesting to me because that's why I have on this altar the 3 aspects of Santa Muerte. And that is a specific thing that I did with her, like a pact that I made with her. And so that's what that is. I will not share the contents of what's in there because that is between me and her. So I got this also from there's a place here called Cantus. So it's a little necklace thing. I just don't wear it all the time. Here's another little necklace thing. I really like necklaces and idols. That's something I really like. And so that's that. Here, this is an obsidian cube. Obsidian is related to the dead, and it's also related to like dark magic and stuff. You've probably seen the obsidian mirrors a lot of people use. And then you have this bat that I got from a graveyard. I visit graveyards quite often. And here's something I got. This is also some cemetery water that I basically filled this vial with water, put it at my cousin's gravesite, asked him to protect it for me, and like 2 weeks later I came and got it. I think I told the story behind that. I don't have a lot of time. It's already getting, damn, I've been talking a long ass time, and there's still stuff to cover, so I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. So, alright. I have chocolates here, one for each aspect, one for each color. Alright. And I have the Hershey's Kisses. I have the Hershey's Kisses now because she told me actually she liked those. And the thing is, motherfucker, the thing is, when I first went into the grocery store, she told me she really likes the chocolate that has more cacao in it. Cacao is from South America, so that's like something that she actually told me that she likes more than this. This is all I had the money for, and at that point in time, so I'm using this, and she was totally cool with that. Another offering that I give her is tobacco. One of the things you can do is like blow cigarette smoke or like cigar smoke into her mouth, like into her face, like of the idol, and that's one way to give an offering as well. However, in my apartment, I cannot smoke, and I don't smoke, so it's not conducive for me to be blowing smoke in the face. I could get in trouble for that kind of shit. So this has been accepted by her as well. Another thing that you can do, and I found this is a very obscure practice. I only found this at one place, and this is called dándole de comer, is giving her something to eat. So basically, what you do is you want to prick your finger, and like as you can see on her mouth of all of these statues, there's like dried blood, and this is how I give her the blood. So you can do this as much as you want to. I did this once when I got them, kind of almost like to christen the statues, even though these are preparados. So that's another thing I'm going to get into. So these statues are already preparados, which means they already have all the stuff that you need in them to start working with Santa Muerte. You don't have to work through anything. You don't have to do anything special to it. I put the blood on the mouth so they would be mine, directly related to me. And here's a tobacco that I use. And okay. And so another offering. Oh, as you can see, after in here, she has like the seeds and like some glitter in there. And all of these statues have that stuff already. They're already prepared, already made, already ready for you to go. Ready to go. Another offering you can give her is I have this shot glass right here. Sorry, the fucking camera's all over the place. I'm doing this shot glass that I use. I don't know what kind of stone this is, but whatever. And so this is mezcal. If you don't know what mezcal is, it is kind of like tequila, but it's the one with the worm. As you can see, the worm right there. So I give her mezcal, and this is already running low. This was the most expensive bottle. I got this brand. She's not brand specific, and I think you can also give her tequila, but you want to give her Mexican style alcohol, and like the better it is, the better, the more devoted you are, kind of a thing, So I got this one because it was the most expensive one. She seems to like it, and I give her that after a deed is completed as a thank you, or as just like a gift every once in a while. Sometimes I just make her offerings just to give her offerings. Another thing she likes is roses. Here I have a black candle. So I have all these different candles. And the reason that's black is the wick was burning hot. So it's not like bad energy in here. So the roses, I let the rose actually die because I wanted to incorporate the aspect of her as in death. And so the thing about her, she also has the sickle, and there's other things. So here she has the scales. You can see the scales right here. Those are scales around that little green thing. So what the scales mean, it means like represents justice, but in a justice in a way like like when I was talking about earlier, if you want to curse somebody, she's not just going to curse anybody just because you're fucking bored and you want to go around and just cursing people like just to be a fucking dick or a bitch or whatever, right? So what you have to do is like it has to be like a good reason for you to curse somebody, and then she will help you curse that person. So if somebody does something like shitty to you, and I mean really shitty, not like they cut you off in traffic, I mean like something pretty shitty, and then you can do something like equally in order for them to learn their lesson. Like the justice didn't get them, like man's law didn't get them, so you use like Santa Muerte, you ask Santa Muerte to help you to get them with, cosmic law, basically. Then you have an owl. So the owl is big in Santa Muerte, or in Spanish, la lechuza, which la lechuza is like the bringer of death. Like I think when I was a kid, they would say if an owl lands in the, like in your house or something like that, they fly into the house, like somebody in the room is going to die. People tend to make everything bad, you know what I'm saying? So it could mean like metaphysical, or it could mean like literal. So it can mean either one. Another thing you have is the scythe or the sickle, which is this thing right here, and that is used to cut the cords of like your old life, also metaphysical, or to cut the cords of life itself. So she would like cut you from this plane, the cords that tie you to this plane. So that's what that is for. Or ties to like somebody who's really bothering you, or a curse, or anything that something sharp would be used to cut. That's what that is for. You can ask her to do that for you. Let me see another thing. All the money. Everybody wants money. Then you have like the all-seeing eye. I'll let you interpret that as you wish. Most of this is Mexican money, like towards the bottom. On this one, I'm using this statue, but they all have the same kind of stuff. This is, I think that's her. Yeah, the white one has her on the bottom of it, right underneath the rose. And then you have the mirror. She's really good at working with your shadow self, so she teaches you to look within yourself as opposed to like trying to solve problems outside of yourself, you know? So she's really good at helping working with the shadow self. And then you have her holding the earth, which what that means is when Santa Muerte is all, no matter how rich you are, how poor you are, how famous you are, if you're a hermit or whatever, death comes for us all. So what her holding the earth in her hand means is that no matter, you cannot hide anywhere on the planet from her. She will eventually come and take you away, basically. Eventually, one day you're going to die. So that's what that means. When she's holding the earth, she has power and dominion over the entire planet, no matter what. If you're a living thing, she has power over you. She is, so this is why she is so powerful and why she can work with so many different currents, because she can incorporate into anything, because basically that's what she is. She's death, so death can work with, basically, she can fit into any pantheon, anything like that. She can work with any energy. She takes it on because every energy that you work with relates through death, right? If that makes any sense. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to cover. This video has gone on. This is like the longest video I ever made in my life. But I think that's everything, man. Hopefully this answers a lot of questions. A good book to get is La Biblia de la Santa Muerte. Mainly they're in Spanish. If you can find an English version, cool. If not, there's other books. Online research is pretty good. This video, I covered a lot of shit in this video, so this took me years to learn. So it's not like everything I just covered is a lot of stuff. So, here's the tattoo that I did on myself with La Santa Muerte whenever I was in TDC. That's the first thing I got as a tribute to her, and she's protected me ever since, and I think even before that, seeing as how I grew up next to a graveyard. And yeah, that's it, man. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, share it with your friends. If you hate it, share it with your enemies. Later.